What's going on, guys? Kosty with PickDawgz with Eric for episode number 29. It's hard to
Wow.
believe, man. 29 straight weeks we've been
I mean,
doing
not
this
right.
podcast.
If you want to get technical, if we go back to the beginning with the radio show, we're talking 15 years because we went from radio show and we just basically pulled the radio show to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, we used to fly to Vegas to record with the late Brian Blessing. Rest in peace. He was a very famous radio analyst, used to be a Buffalo Sabres announcer, and he was our guy. We would talk sports. He was a hockey nut. He was loved basketball. Horse racing first, right? And
he'd be on the radio and he'd be betting the horses on his laptop while we'd be on the radio.
And funny enough, this show has never been about picks, even dating back to radio.
Nope.
When I told Mitch, rest in peace as well, that we do something like this, he was shocked. He goes, well, why would people listen if they're not getting free picks? I said, well, there's a lot of people out there, a small few that are in this for the business side of betting. They're not really in it to bet the board every day, and they just want to get opinions on everything.
And I also think the older I get, even though I don't look that wise without the beard,
still weird looking at you, man. It's totally.
If you, I don't know how I'm gonna see. This is so I shaved at 4:00 on Saturday, November 8th. So
you're counting it down to the hour now?
No, so I know I want to see the growth because I'm not putting a razor back on my face again. I've already decided I'm done. So for all those people that were like, "You look great without the beard," you get it till this is boom. So
you should change the name from Eric to Stanley Tucci.
So the funny thing is, I don't know if you watched my YouTube video. My mom calls me Stanley Tucci when I shave, and then her birthday is November 11th, and if you Google his birthday, it's November 11th. And I also got in the comments, and I get Stanley Tucci, and I get without the glasses Vin Diesel. I don't know what to tell you. How about just Eric Pathy without a beard? That's what I get.
You know what? You do resemble a little Vin Diesel, and that's a compliment. And I would say Stanley Tucci is as well, but
and I also and it's interesting because I told you this off air, but I don't care. Everybody knows everything. But I also feel like I look more Middle Eastern without the beard. You would think I would look more Middle Eastern with the beard.
I'm Middle Eastern with the beard.
I think I look more Middle Eastern without the beard because I didn't. You see how dark my skin is when there's no beard. Otherwise, everything's covered up. It's the middle of winter, and I got this is how I look. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a wizard, literally a wizard with that gray beard. All you need is a cane and one of those hats.
You could be
on Harry Potter.
So I'm going to the same places. Everybody lives in a 5-mile radius. And I go to the car dealership yesterday to get air in my tire. The guy that dropped you off, the service guy. And he looks at me and he goes, Eric? He just could not. He could not believe it. He just could not believe it. It's just kind of funny to see the reactions from people. I'm just telling this person live on radio.
Well, it's funny because you were telling me that, look, this happens to us quite often, in the past. Yeah, you tell the story.
So I woke up and it said I had low air pressure in my right driver's side rear tire. So I just, instead of going to the office, I drove right over to the dealership. And I got out of the car and the guy goes, oh, yeah. And the guy who recognized me said, yeah, I'll have a guy look at it and fill it with air. And then this guy comes running out from the back and he's like, can I talk to you for a second? He says, I said, sure, man. And I totally forget, how many people watch. He goes, can we walk outside? Yeah. He goes, I am getting crushed. Can you help me? I watch you and Kosty every day. I know you bought your car here and I see your name and I'm always I feel weird about I didn't want to call you on the phone. So we had a long talk and it was interesting because you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about why most people lose. And the general manager of the dealership who I've known for 30 years, he was laughing. He was he walks over to me and he goes, you could literally sell your product to every single car salesman in the dealership because they're getting smashed every weekend. and they all watch you. And I said, and he's known me for 40 years. And I said, so I said, you know, how much do you have in your account? And he said 5,000 in his FanDuel account or DraftKings. And he said he's down like 11,000 for the football season. You know, there's a hardworking guy in you know, working under the cars. You know, I don't know how much he makes, but you know, he's getting his hands dirty. Be down $11,000, you know, just since week 1 of September. It's 10 weeks already. So it's basically an average of 1,000 a week. And I said, you know, what are you betting a game? And he, you know, 300 to 500 a game, and doing the micro deposits. And I basically had it out with him because he doesn't have time to watch all the content. And I basically sat him down while I was waiting for my car. And I basically said, you got $5,000 in your account. You got to bet $50 a game. And he's just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, man, you got to bet $50 a game. And whether you pay me or pay, so I said, I'm not taking your business. You're a local guy. You don't have enough money in your account. You have 5,000 in your account. You saw my text to him. I said, call me when you have 10,000 in your account. You're already setting yourself up for failure being underfunded. And this is the thing that I noticed on my YouTube videos. You know, I did a promotion 2 weeks ago, buy 1 month, get 2 months. 8 people took advantage, just went online and paid $1,000. And then they're on the Telegram channel. First week I go 9-1 plus whatever I do in hockey. And, you know, I know if these people don't listen to what I say, they're just over betting and hammering each game because it's a low volume offering. And I was explaining to this guy that, you know, the only way you can make money is to spray the board. But I don't really want to do that. I like, you know, it's the Ravens or not. It's, you know, typical Baltimore fan. And again, doesn't matter if it's at the car dealership, doesn't matter if it's Starbucks, doesn't matter if it's in Maryland Live. The only thing, and we say it every time, the only thing that changes on a gambler's story is their name. The story is exactly the same. And then they say things to me like, how do you know? Because you're all the same. You're all sheep. You're all there doing the same bad things to do with the same end result. I had a guy yesterday called me up, and he said he had $30,000 in his account, and he was just looking for one big game to hammer.
Yeah.
I respectfully told him, have a good day. So
you should have gave him a game and said, grab a hammer, and that's your big game hammer. Pick a team and grab a hammer and put it in your hands. That the whole insanity behind, and it's society, right? So
yeah, I mean,
society puts out the whale plays, society puts out the super max, the super locks, and there's so much hype behind that because any single person basically gets tipped off based on that verbiage. No different than if you went on Twitter and somebody said, look, buy now this crypto, it is going to fucking skyrocket right now. If you buy it right now. So the psychological effect of somebody saying a super lock or whale play, it gives that client or that potential client the same dopamine rush of, wow, this is the time to bet on this game. It can't lose because of the hype behind it. When we've been talking about this for years, big games don't matter. The only thing that matters is high volume. Like, for example, you have your basic introductory product, which you were offering for $1,000 a month, which is low volume. It's not high volume.
Promotion for 2 months.
Yeah. So, but then when a client calls us and I go through like basically like auditing their sportsbook account, like spend 30 minutes just auditing their sportsbook account. And they go, well, why do you have different products? I said, I want to make sure that you have the bankroll and you have the discipline to be able to follow the high volume. We have other groups. I mean, there's groups literally throwing themselves to us and say, look, sell our product. They bet on their own. They make a lot of money betting on their own. They're getting down at 50, 100 different books on an everyday basis. And then we have clients that are actually following the lead of what we put on their portfolio. So not everybody is going to have the same product. Now, PickDawgz as a whole, from the handicapper side, you basically could just choose a personality and you're getting the same product, right? The same product, meaning there's no units attached to those games. You're just you're buying that personality for the day, for the week, for the month, for the season. But there's no structured confidence in the units or the games because everything is labeled the same, and that's why the leaderboards are accurate. But then when you want to get basically behind the screen and work with us one-on-one, I mean, I had clients all morning. I released games this morning at 7:35, and I had clients texting me, my line is off by half a point. What do I do? I tell them, wait, bet, don't buy half a point. So like the human element of understanding how to navigate the betting markets is just as important when you're dealing with somebody that has a six-figure bankroll. Like I have a client that's watching right now, well, a potential client.
Optimal Prime, Brad
He's
says,
always here.
He says, I look Iraqi. Well, he looks Iraqi. Guess what? I'm Iraqi. But go ahead.
Well, the cool thing about our business,
my father was born in Baghdad, for all those that want to know.
For our business, which most people in this industry, clients don't become their friends, right? They're just clients. They're buying picks from guys that they don't even know if they're using their real names, or they're buying picks from real people, but they're never actually talking to them. Well, Brad, who's in the comments, actually got to meet us, spend days with us in Vegas, and goes, man, you guys are exactly the same
but
people.
He didn't send me
on camera and off camera.
But he didn't send me a text this morning yelling at me that I went 0-3 in hockey last night.
No, he's seasoned. He's gotten, and he was early on. There was some emotional roller coasters riding in there, but look, when things are good right now, you're not going to hear a lot from him. Not going to hear a lot from Brad when things are going well. But like I have a potential client. He's watching the show. I told him to tune in, and he's joining tomorrow. And before he even called me, he showed me his DK P&L for the year. So look, man, this isn't working for me. Like before he even got on the phone, that is a client that I'll probably have for 10 years because he already gets it. His ego.
Can I play something for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no. Keep talking. I gotta cue it up. Go ahead.
And
this is all the gamblers in the world. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
In the world, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Clears away the cobwebs.
That's their whole life. Tomorrow. Till there's literally, if I had $1 for every guy that said, let me think about it, I'll call you tomorrow, I'd be like, it's like a joke. Literally, that's the insanity. So this is what this guy calls yesterday, right? 30,000 in his account. I show him all the data. He says, let me think about it. Okay, tomorrow. They don't hang up and go blow himself up. It's like, this is the insanity of the gamblers. But back to regarding what you said about Mitch didn't think people would be interested. We used to do this on the radio, terrestrial radio, 1400 AM in Las Vegas, and 1100 FM, whatever. The FM, we're on AM and FM simultaneously. A lot of people want to know that other people are living the same emotions they're living. They want to know that somebody's going to battle with them and to war with them, right? So they see the war side of it as opposed to I got the fancy car and I got the Rolex and I got the bitch bag and that stuff gets old. So what happens is like it resonates. One of the things we don't talk about, which we should talk about, is it's just like being in shape and not being in shape. Once you're in shape, it's easy to say I'm in shape, but how hard was it to get into shape? I'm 52, man. I remember like vomiting over the results of games when I was 25. Like we never really talk about that part, right? Like everyone goes through it at a certain time. My thing is you learn from teachers. So the thing is when somebody calls me and I invest the time to explain it to them and they say, let me think about it, I kind of lose respect for them because what they're basically saying is they're going to a doctor. They're trying to get healthy. They're asking for help. And then they want to think they know more than the doctor. The thing is, do you always have to put your hand on the fire to get burnt? Or can you learn from somebody that if you touch this hot fire, you're going to get burnt? And it seems that gamblers are stubborn. They all have to get burnt. I mean, I have a list of fake, phony inquiries. I call them they're fake, phony. And here's how you know they'll screenshot me their account balance, and I keep it like this one guy Joshua in Texas. You remember he screenshots me that $70,000 bet us offshore account balance. Let me see how I do this week, and I'll get back to you. Gone. Why? Because that account balance is now zero, right? So they got to get burnt. It's like they got to feel the pain. They got to run themselves through the meat grinder. So I think what resonates with people that watch this, if it's not for picks, it's to know that other people have already lived that and experienced that. Now the question is, can you learn from our mistakes, or are you that stubborn that you got to still do it even though you're already being told what will happen? Like I told this guy on the phone yesterday, and I was harsh. I said, after this conversation, you do one of two things. You withdraw all your money out of your account, never make another bet again, or call me back and join. You cannot win. What do you mean I can't? You will never win. It is not up for debate. You can't win. And I can't say this every day on the YouTube videos because it becomes very condescending. But, you know, all these people tripping out about the free picks on these videos, it's just laughable. None of them can win, because they're not willing to follow a regimen and a system. It's hard enough to win when you have a system and a regimen. How are you going to hop? Boom, boom. You're married, Kosty?
I am.
Expecting
Happily married for 2 years. Expecting my first child March 27th, right smack in the middle of March Madness.
So here's the thing. Imagine there's a saying. You see, there's only rings I have are chrome heart rings. They're just not on right now. There's a saying, you know, if you're married and you have like 5 mistresses, sooner or later you're going to get caught. There's no cohesion. It's the same thing when you're hopping from capper to capper. It's like hopping from girlfriend to girlfriend. Now, if you want to be a whore, a capper whore, and you want to hop from capper whore to capper whore to capper whore to capper whore, and this is what winds up happening. You go to the leaderboard, you see the guy that just won 9 in a row, you hop on him. Of course, now he's 9-2, 9-1, he loses. This guy's horrible. Then you go to the next, and you're always late to the party. You're always late to the party. And you're never on the upswing at the bottom of the streak, because you're always at the tail end of the streak. When I look at the data of cappers on any website, including PickDawgz, I'm always looking at how many losses they had versus their wins. So if I look at Al last season and I see 379 and 279, I go, oh, in order for me to win, I had to lose 279 games. I'm not just looking at the 379. Like I told this gentleman yesterday was, you're only going to win about 56 to 57% of the time if you want to make a lot of money. And he couldn't wrap his head around that, because everybody's used to what's called positive expectancy, winning more games to make more money, as opposed to treating the business like the stock market. So back to my only point was, people like Mitch coming from the gaming, the fan side of the fan sports side of the business, that has nothing to do with what people do that make money for a living wagering on sports. It was very foreign to him until we showed him. And we already knew this, because this wasn't something that we were just like trying out. We've already been on the radio for over a decade, having people call in and listen. It just wasn't, they would have to call in instead of it being interactive on chat. But, the thing I'm trying to figure out when I'm on the phone with people, and I keep having this conversation with you, is if you don't want to help yourself and you're just calling to tell us everything you do is right, nothing's going to change. How many calls do you get a week, Kosty, of a guy telling you how good he is in a specific sport and he does really well on his own? Like you said to the gentleman yesterday, then why are you calling? I mean, that was masterclass. You were talking to that guy, and he's literally calling you for help, telling you how good he's doing, but he only has 10 grand in his account.
Well, beside even that one, my favorite.
How did it start out with? He sent I bet $1,500 to $3,000.
And well, no, that client is now a client of mine on my low volume system.
Well, my point is, I was listening to the conversation.
No, I get all of that, but telling you
how good he's doing while he's inquiring.
that's always going to be the case because, like you said, it's the ego of telling. If I were to talk to somebody, and I see it all the time when we're at casinos, we're in sports books. Oh, how'd you do yesterday? Oh, I did great. They don't tell you the P&L of the day. They don't tell you that they lost 5,000 playing slots. They don't tell you that it's psychologically, they want to tell you ego driven that they win. But like I like to do, I'm going to do this new segment where every single week we're going to do caller of the week. The caller of the week that got.
I thought it was going to segment where you were going to do you were was it? We were going to what? Never mind. Go ahead.
Caller of the week. So I had a gentleman that reached out to me over the weekend, watches every one of my videos, has been a watcher for a very long time. Said, look, I want to talk. I want to do business. We talked to each other on Sunday. So on Sunday, I talked to the gentleman and he's like, look, man, I have taken the biggest roller coaster I have ever taken with FanDuel. I am a VIP with FanDuel, which is the badge. I can't figure it out. He's like, I took 100,000 to 600,000 and then I lost 1.3 million.
Are you talking about the Flintstones guy?
Yeah. So
fake.
Right there. No, it's not fake because he showed me tickets. So whether I don't know his P&L, he didn't show me that, but lost 1.3 million. So now he's in a point where he's down overall, he's down 500K. And I give him the presentation of if you follow the high volume system, you have a shot because he said he was going to start out with a $200,000 bankroll. I said, you have a shot to recoup the 500,000 within a year. He goes, really? Because I just lost 1.3 this football season. So in his mind, he's trying to recoup this 500,000 like this month, this week, right? So he goes, I get it. My way doesn't work. You know, he starts anytime somebody starts rattling off their previous games. Oh, I had this team yesterday. I had this team. So none of it matters, right? So we have a great conversation. Probably spent 40 minutes just shooting the shit after he said he was committed to doing this. Said, no problem. I'll send you a wire tomorrow. Well, the next day, I don't hear from him. Then at midnight, I get a text that he put 35,000 on the Eagles. He had another parlay, and all these parlays are the biggest sucker parlays you could choose, which is he takes minus 240s, minus 300, puts them all four in a parlay, and he gets like plus 150 odds. So he's basically trying to cheat the system by taking these huge favorites. But originally his call to me was, I got bad beat on the Bills. I lost over 100,000 because the Bills couldn't win. I said, no shit. It's the NFL. Why are you betting so much? And how much is that against your actual bankroll? So the reason I haven't heard from this gentleman again is because he won on Monday. So psychologically, he thinks because he had a winning Monday, that essentially going forward, he's going to take that account up.
But I don't
like
even,
you said,
I don't even want to do like this. So I was talking
to that person, and I already told him he'll never be a client of ours.
Exactly.
He is the bookmaker's favorite client. He is going to have his host send him free play. His host is going to take him to basketball games, courtside. He's going to get the trips. He's going to get everything because essentially whatever he won, he's going to run it back down to zero, then deposit again and run it back down to zero because it's the insanity of gambling versus treating it like a business. And I asked him, how many businesses do you own? He owned 3 different businesses. Like, well, why don't you put the same amount of discipline as you do in your marble company as you do in your sports betting? He goes, it's not the same. I said, boom, there's your answer. Because it's not the same, FanDuel is going to have a day with you constantly throwing in these oversized wagers. And it's literally the definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And great. Now, no shot of winning. 0 shot. But that's the reality of the business that we're in. There's a lot of suckers out there, and those suckers are getting roped into the sports books. And when we try to break the cycle, Eric, they don't want to hear it. because the ego, 3-letter word, ego, is giving them blinders of going, I had a winning day. This is going to continue. Has nothing to do with the bets that he placed. It has nothing to do with him winning. It's the insanity of his bets and how he bets that he'll essentially never be able to have sustainability long term.
Well, again, you're not really winning. Like I was telling the gentleman, if you're betting offshore where your money is in an account and you don't have a system, you're not winning. You're just it's a video game. It's not like on Monday he withdrew the money and went and bought a car. Like he's not winning. It's just a number psychologically in his account that he sees. It's not real. One of the advantages, there's a little YouTube short, Instagram short of me saying you can't win when you go to the casino with cash. But the other thing is the apps are tough too, because it takes away the reality of the money, right? So it's just a video game. It's just a number on the screen. It's just people, when they go to bed upset that they lost, they're not upset that they lost because they lost money. They're upset because they have less bullets in the gun to bet the next day. That's the only reason why they're upset. Like, call a spade a spade. None of you guys are ever upset that you lost money because you were going to withdraw the money and you were going to go buy your wife a new diamond ring. Are you fucking kidding me? You're upset because you got less ammunition in the gun. And then you got to put more money in so you can get high on your own supply the next day. So again, there is that addictive component, and, the reality is a lot of people don't recognize they're doing it for dopamine and action. I just got off a bike in 20-mile-an-hour swirling winds blowing me back and forth, wondering if I'm going to make it back here. That's my dopamine. You know what I mean? I don't need to watch games. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing with the crypto. We've discussed this every Thursday with crypto. Crypto's getting smashed today. I'm looking right now. The crypto Bitcoin, just for the first time in a long time, went under $100,000. Well, if you're an investor or you're a trader, you don't care. You're not. If you're a guy day trading, I mean, that's ugly, man. Look, you see that red? You see that?
I see it.
Down. Brett, don't get upset. Just buy more. Don't get upset. Don't get upset. Just buy more. It's like you don't see the emotions with something like this that you see when it comes to losing a game in sports. You don't see people overreacting gutturally like they do when it comes to sports. And again, there's the ego part is about being right. I picked a winner. That guy picked Philadelphia on Monday. He was right. But I wanted to ask you, going into week 10 or week 11?
I think it's week 12 of college, week 11 of NFL.
So let's talk real quick. I know we don't talk about picks, but I know, you got the Jackson and the Jackson behind you were out of town last week. Again, is it basically theirs to win or lose? My son thinks they still have no shot. Everybody's overhyped.
Your son is usually right in recent years, but the older your son has gotten, the more emotional he has become. And there's a losing streak, and he's a fan from a fan side. He's a losing streak. This is the worst. They're the worst team. He's not looking at the big picture, right? And just saying, son's got a little bit more emotional over the years. He draws the line. He draws the line in the sand, kind of like his dad, quite often. No, I think they have a very valid shot. The fact that the Steelers are lost 3 of their last 4. The Ravens have won 3 in a row. We still have to play them twice. Our schedule makers and our schedule the rest of the way is quite easy. I mean, we have a legitimate shot to win the division. Now, I never gave up hope. I remember when we had the worst odds at one point when we only had 1 win to win the division is when I pressed to win the division odds, which was still not that good considering. I mean, it was better than it was before the year started, but we were never in you're never getting plus 200 to win the division, even with 1 win, which says a lot. Look, the odds makers in the NFL have the sharpest, most accurate lines out of any sport. For anybody that sits here and tells you that they make a living off NFL betting, they're lying to you. NFL, you could make money in it, but I'm talking about sustainability. And if you're only betting NFL, you don't have enough volume and the lines are too tight. So you're basically getting, depends how you play. But unless you're a live bettor, unless you're a prop bettor and you're willing to take the accounts that you have and burn them and get them limited and get new accounts, great. But from pre-game betting in the NFL is almost impossible to generate a high revenue. I mean, we always talk about it. Basketball, college basketball, the best. I mean, this is the best time of the year. We know it. We have 7 days a week with the most schools times 5 than college football. The first day, November 3rd, there was 126 games on the board. 126 different opportunities on the board that first day. So it just gives you a sense of like how big college basketball is. But most people that bet college basketball have no clue about the Longwoods of the world, the Incarnate Wards, the Pepperdines, these schools that to them are non-watchable schools, right? They're never on TV. They're not on ESPN. They're never broadcasted. So why would I bet on them? When in reality, on the sharp side, those are the schools that we attack constantly. And we don't care about watching stuff. So, the reality is none of it really matters. What matters is position sizing and understanding why you're betting that much on the position. Because otherwise, there's no way of guessing that Team A should be bet for more than Team B, unless you have a strategy, a system, and something that has been developed for decades, like the groups that we have. So I do want to answer some questions because we usually do it at the 30-minute mark. Let me go up and find one of the top ones. Here's one. What is your opinion on revenge spots? Is it a real edge in handicapping or is it overrated? Again, where is that coming from? Is it coming from a situational handicapper where he's actually using the revenge spot as part of his data and analysis, or is it coming from an edge bettor that's just looking on the price of the game? So I think that's just it's too much of it's not dialed in, the question. I don't know exactly how to answer that. I don't know if Eric, you have an opinion on that?
I think it's all like Santa Claus coming down the chimney. There's no these guys aren't even nobody cares about the last game. They're literally professional athletes making millions of dollars. It's a job to them. This whole concept of revenge and non-revenge, this is for regular ESPN sports talk, right? This is bullshit. Dude, these guys make hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't give a fuck about revenge. They're going to go out to eat to dinner with these guys and party together after they get their asses beat by their opponents. And then they all go to the club after the game. Revenge. This is all in your mind. It's not fucking revenge. It's nonsense. Now, in college, it may be a little different because they're not pro athletes. And and it's more about, the school and the moniker of this school against that school. But in professional sports, please.
I think there has been talks. I mean, I know you deal with a different landscape of syndicates where they're not even watching the games.
Exactly.
I live in the world of syndicates that actually do watch the games and do follow situational handicapping. And in NBA, I believe there is revenge spots. In college basketball, I believe there's revenge spots.
They said college is different than I don't believe
NBA, because NBA, they play each other. Remember, where's the revenge coming from? In college football, you're not getting a revenge unless you're playing them in a playoff or the championship games. In NFL, there's no revenge spots because they play each other twice a year in the division and it's spread out. So really, maybe in the NBA and college basketball are the only two sports where they do matter. All right, next question, Eric. Assuming you've had a long losing streak in the past weeks, how do you stay level-headed and throw out your methodology and not throw out your methodology out the window? Or do you switch up your strategies?
Well, again, for me, I'm a game broker. So you got to answer. I'm not a handicapper. So I don't. It's
Well, there is no throwing out your methodology. The losing streak.
There's no. Well, but let me. This is why it's good to have an hour show. And I say this, and I look. You can see my facial expressions now more than it's. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, including the person that asked the question. There's no such thing as a losing streak. There's no such thing as a winning streak. You have independent events at independent geographic locations that have no correlation to each other, that may win independently or lose independently, and you are trying to string them together like they're connected. There's no fucking streaks, up or down. How can there be a streak if some fucking team loses in Nebraska and you lose that game? And then you bet a team in California and you lose that game. They're completely, what did Kenny used to say? Every game is a what?
Snowflake.
Is any snowflake the same?
No.
There's no streaks. This is the psychological babble of losing I'm on a winning streak. I'm hot. No, you're not. You just happen to bet 10 independent games randomly that all won. I'm on a losing streak. No, you're not. You just happen to bet 10 individual games randomly that all lost. That's why it's called variance. Last night I had in my hockey syndicate 3 losses. Was that a losing streak? Nope. The last time I checked, each one of those hockey teams were in a different geographic location and had nothing to do with each other. What streak? Forget it. It's not. It doesn't even exist. All with love. I'm saying it. I'm not trying to disrespect. It's just like, guys, like, get over this nonsense. This is like crazy. There's no such thing as a streak in either direction. They're independent events that have nothing to do with each other. Was that a good enough question for you?
No, that was good. That was good. I'll answer this one. I've heard from another voice in the betting world that NFL handicapping in today's game is vastly different from 10 plus years ago due to rule changes and offensive strategies. Is this true? Absolutely not. It's the same. Everything is the same because everything has to do with the price of the game. Rule changes have been in existence the entire time. What happened 10 years prior, the rule changes have no relevance. Maybe if you're looking at it from an over-under, potentially, but spreads, they don't change. Everything is catered toward the spread on the game. And really the advantage is knowing that your spread is advantageous to the time that you bet it. Obviously, if you're catching a team at -2.5 and it goes to 3.5, you have an entire point versus the market. So professional bettors look at price. They don't change their strategies based on rule changes. I know in baseball, there was a little bit with the pitch clock in the first year where it was talked about, but that went away fairly quickly. So the sample size is too big and it's never changed. So in my opinion, no, it does not change. Let's see. Next question. I know when you make bets, you are confident, but when you lose 70% or 80% of the public on your side, do you question your pick or contrarian, or do you stand firm on your pick?
See, this is the problem.
I'll give you this one.
The problem of not having a beard is I notice my facial expressions are much more animated. I just want to teach people that you can't ask a question. It's like asking, is Santa Claus coming down the chimney on December 25th? All this stuff is justifying why you lose. Instead of understanding why you lose is because your basic premise on all the questions you ask are based on a fantasy. There's no contrarian. There's no 70, 80% public. Every single person betting on their own goes 50% at the end of the year, throwing a dart at the board with absolutely no analysis or handicapping. Then you take someone like Big Al McMorty, who won over $2 million last year on his own personal betting, and he was 57%. So when you're talking about, you ask Big Al, you watch the videos I do with Big Al, you start bringing up public money and percentages. You want to see the biggest way to light a fire under his ass? Ask him that question. It is complete, utter baloney. Every site that you look at that shows you betting public, how the fuck do they know? If Micah Smith, my partner, who bets 200,000 minimum every night, multiply that by 7, over $1 million, 1.4, 1.5 million every week. If he wants to bet $1 million on a game and he has 1,000 sports books and he's betting 500 in each book, is that public money or sharp money? How do you know what's 70, 80%? The question, the reason why the question is not, you're not wrong for asking the question, but the answer to your question is not to answer a bad question. It's to let you know that the question is based upon things that aren't real. They're psychological in your mind. They don't exist. I have right now, if I turn my camera, a Don Best screen up that costs $6,000 a year. It's a professional tool that pros use. Doesn't help me pick winners. It supposedly is going to show me what percentage of the public is on a game. Even that's bullshit. You think that a professional betting syndicate walks up with a sign and says, "Hi, I'm a professional and I'm betting $1 million on a game." There's no public, 80% of public on your. Forget this stuff, guys. This is why you're part of the people that are finding it so hard to make money. If you spent 1 ounce, one moment of energy to understand that the foundation of the house is going to fall into the river when the rain comes down past the house if the foundation is bullshit. These questions are all foundational bullshit questions. It doesn't make you wrong for asking them, but somebody has to tell you that it's bull. There's no public percentages that are going to help you make money. It's an illusion. The sports books promote this bullshit to think it gives you an edge because it's bullshit. There's no contrarian. For every person that wins a game, there's an equal person on the other side that loses a game. That's why on ESPN, the bad beat segment is really bullshit. It's only a bad beat for the people that had the losing side. What about the guy on the other side? Miami, Florida, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kosty? They were playing Stanford, I believe. Mm-hmm. It was 4th down. They ran it in 4th and 2, and they covered. One of Al's plays, they covered instead of taking the knee like they should have done. They would have done 99% of the time. So if you had Stanford, it was a bad beat. We were on Miami, Florida. Al comes on the video and says, "I got lucky. Good beat." Like it's complete. There's complete parity with all this stuff. It's 50, 50, 50, 50. Sorry, I'm heated up.
I don't know if the passion that we have for the business side of betting is unique because we're not prognosticators. We're not handicappers. We don't claim to be. I mean, a lot of the videos that we do on our own are just strategy plays. We kind of just for that day, for that situation, it's one of the 1,000 strategies that we have experience with and knowledge on. And people take it for granted where they think I could make money off individual one spot, one situation games from a person like myself or you. And in reality, it doesn't matter.
Let me ask you, Massimo asked me a question. I don't know the answer. I was trying to get Michael on the phone, but he's probably too busy betting right now. He said, can you chit chat about whether betting on something like FanDuel at -110 is better than Penny at -108 due to accumulating bet credits, bonus bets, etc.? Meaning, is it better to lay 2 cents more, but you're actually getting all the free bonus bets and the credits versus laying 8 cents? Now, again, let's qualify for all the people watching this. he's talking about a book that you can't access from the United States. He's in Canada. So
Well, it's funny you say that, because I had a client yesterday that was describing to me that he could get, with his local guy, he can get 5-cent lines, right?
right.
But if he gets 5-cent lines, he can only do them the day of the game.
Okay.
Versus if he doesn't get 5-cent lines, the book offers him 20% on losses. So he could stick to 20% of the losses that he gets back, or he can get 5-cent lines on releases that are the day of. And it was hard for me to do the math on that as well. I mean, beneficially, obviously, in theory, 5-cent lines are better because you're only paying minus 105 on a flat bet versus, I mean, on a flat bet, sometimes it might be 110, 115, but in reality, your flat bet is minus 105.
Mhm.
But then you lose the 20% of the losses. And considering how much volume we churn over, that on the weeks that you do lose, you're getting 20% back. So I didn't really have, I wanted to do a case study on it. I haven't had the chance to do it yet to see what the advantage is. And it's kind of similar to Massimo, what the advantage is him getting the free bet. Because again, on FanDuel, you get free bets. There's no rollover. Is it a advantage, like you just said, to have 2 cents better versus the free bet? And I don't have enough of a sample size or a case study on that to give him an honest answer. I don't think Michael will either. Maybe he will. Me personally, I would have to do a little bit more research to find out what the advantage on that is versus one versus the other. But it's a good question. It's a good concept to have options like that, because that's the stuff that I love to talk about. How are you getting the best edge possible? And it has nothing to do with the games. How are you getting the best edge possible where you're getting a cheaper price on the juice? Are you getting a percentage of your losses? I mean, this is the world that we're in 2025. These offshore sports books, these local sports books that you have, if you have a bookie, will give you these type of credits because they don't want to lose your business to the legal sports books that are popping up in every state. So, I feel like we're going to be talking about that more and more as we go into 2026. It's just what's going on, in the state of the union with sports betting. It's constantly changing, but it's a good conversation to have. It's stumped me because I really didn't have the answer for him, and I usually have the answer most likely from every question that my client have regarding sports betting. But I will do a case study, and maybe I'll break it down here in the coming weeks what the advantage was there. But yeah, it's very interesting how you can
I'm not trying to have people be like, God, Eric is a prick. It's just like people are getting wrapped up in stuff that's false from beginning. So the question is not, it's not the person's fault, but it's just forget about public percentages, forget about this bullshit contrarian nonsense. These lines are the most efficient lines on all sports at the end of the season. What you don't realize is when you take away baseball and you take away NHL and you go to all spread sports, at the end of the year in every sport, 50% favorites, 50% dogs, 50% over, 50% under, to the T. It doesn't matter right now that the favorites are crushing it in the NFL. By February 9th, it will be 50%. It doesn't matter if you have 1 week where every dog wins. It doesn't matter. Or every favorite wins. It's 50%. When I say 50%, plus or minus 1 percentage point, that means when you look back at the entire season of every NFL game, within 49 to 51%, there's no edge. If you bet every favorite, you'll lose juice. If you bet every dog, you'll lose juice. So how can there be contrarian in public and this and that if the line's so efficient that it's 50%? Remember, 50% is base. Unless you're someone like our good friend Troy in Las Vegas, who's only betting money lines, which is a whole different ball of wax, you can throw a dart at the board at 10 games and you're going to go 5-5 without even reading the paper. So it's complete. I mean, you guys got to understand that. If I go and I pull up right now, I'll do it right now. Why you can answer, look for the next question, and I'll pull up the data.
Steve is asking. Steve, I have no idea, man. You're asking about sportsbook culture in El Salvador. Only have digital action.
No say.
And then the last one, how could I get a sports book to collab with a sports bar?
What's the point?
No idea. I don't even know the point of that.
No, I mean,
we're game brokers, buddy. We're not opening up sports books. So, sorry. You're asking the question to the wrong people. So it's funny, doing the show and the interactive part of it, I really like, because we're able to answer some serious questions, some tough questions for sports bettors that they usually won't have the ability to ask pros that have been in this industry for you 39, me close to 20.
So check this out. If you've bet every college basketball game this season, remember what I said, plus or minus 1 percentage point with throwing a dart, and all these people are talking about 70, 80% contrarian. Here you go. If you've bet every favorite in college basketball right now, you are 235, 234, 208, and 5, 52%. If you bet every dog, 47.3%. It's 50%. You can throw a dart, you're basically at 50%. Home dogs, 20 and 23. Road dogs, 23. 50%. It's like there's no you got.
Well, there is an edge. The edge is cherry picking the favorites and cherry picking the dogs.
Exactly.
That's the edge.
Right. How about this? You ready? All college football games on the closing number over and under. You ready? 223 to the over, 221 to the under. What do you think? 50%. Plus or minus 2 games. All you're doing is losing juice. These lines are efficient.
Steve, you're asking the wrong questions, buddy. I don't want to be rude, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Just asking random questions. Here we go. What's the benefit of a money line bet?
Wait a minute. I gotta cut you. NBA, you ready? NBA. As of today, before any games are played. You ready?
Yep.
Do you want your mind fucking blown?
50%.
If you bet every favorite in the NBA against the spread, you are 85, 85, and 4. If you bet every dog against the spread on the closing number, you are 85, 85, and 4. 50.0%. When I say you can flip a fucking coin and go 50%, you can flip a fucking coin and go 50%. You're going to think that you're going to go to some site that's going to show you public versus blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You're looking at 170 games, 174 games, 85, 85, and 4, regardless of the direction, before any NBA games get played this evening. So if somebody says, oh, I have an edge on this favorite system in the NBA, you're full of shit. If somebody says, I have an edge on this dog system in the NBA, you're full of shit. I'm looking at the numbers. It's not like it's day one of the NBA season. They've played 174 games.
And I could tie that into the question below. The only sport that it matters is baseball.
Well, that's it. Well, you already know. You bet all dogs.
So what's the benefit of a money line bet? The benefit of a money line bet is playing underdogs in baseball. That's the benefit. That's it. You play underdogs in baseball blindly, you can make money because you're not laying juice. You take away like a normal bet size,
One last
is
one, and I'm
minus
done.
110.
Last
Let
one,
me
and I'm
finish
done.
real quick. Let me finish real quick. Minus 110. You scale that over 10,000 bets and you lose 40, 50% of them. You now pay 10 cents on that many wagers. So can't win that way. Go ahead, Eric.
College football today. You bet every favorite in college football. You are 347, 330, and 16, 51%. You will never see these percentages be greater than 51, 52. Now, at some point in the season, they could be on a run. Like right now, the NFL, if you look at the NFL, it's on a run. The NFL is the only one where you're in the middle of the season. Favorites are 55.5%, 81, 65, and 3. So what does that mean? It means it's dog
There'll be a
days.
direction. Yeah.
It means at the end of the season, you're going to lose 5% off that number, and it's going to be 50% even. Now, if I look at the totals in the NBA, it is 52%, 73, 78, and 67, 53%. So at the end of the season in the NFL, remember this right now, after week 10 or 11, 55.5% of the favorites have been making a little bit of money. They won't be dead even at the end of the season. This is why it drives people crazy, because they think they have these edges that don't even actually exist. So you feed yourself the Kool-Aid that I'm going to look at this and I'm going to look at that. And you're looking at data that doesn't even matter. If you want to be Big Al and you want to have a database that somebody offered him $2 billion for, and he said, go pound sand. Fine. If you want to call Troy, ask him, he'll say, give me 10 million and we can talk about it. Other than that, all this, anything, and I hate to say it, anything that you, the viewer, can access from the internet for free isn't giving you any edge. On an individual game, it might give you the false sense of security that's giving you an edge. But when you're going to zoom out to 200, 300, 400, 1,000 games, it all comes back to you just can cover your eyes, throw darts at the board, and win 50% of your games. That NBA thing freaked me. I didn't even realize it was
That's crazy. I mean, look, but we already know this. We've been talking about this for a decade, that it's all breaks down to 50%. It's not a mystery that year after year after year after year, it's the same exact thing, right? So let me answer this question because we're getting close to the end of the show. So there is no benefits of a round robin. Anytime you get away from a straight wager and you go further away and you start betting exotics, that is giving the sports book a bigger edge. When you bet a parlay and you add legs to it, you're decreasing your percentage and the house has a bigger edge. So anytime you do a 2-leg parlay, 3-leg parlay, anytime you add a leg, you're decreasing your percentage and the house is increasing their percentage. So when you do a round robin, it's the same thing. Anytime you do exotics, you're getting a lower percentage. So do people do them? Sure. Do people win them? Sure. I mean, there's a social media channel where people post their anytime parlay touchdowns, and somebody bet $400 and they made $200,000. What did that give you? Right there. False sense of security, false hope. Because then that person that's watching or seeing that social media post that somebody took 400, bet 4 anytime touchdowns from quarterbacks and made 200,000, that person watching that social media post can do it themselves. Then they put them in. And then for every 99.9 people that lose that parlay, there's that 0.001% that wins that parlay. So at the end of the day, the sports books win. So like I said, back to round robins, anytime you get away from betting a straight bet and you do it as exotics, you're lowering your percentage to win. So take it as you wish. The only way to win is straight bets. The only way to win is following a strategy. The only win is money management. If you don't have all of those things,
you can hit the lottery with the parlays, but
or you can hit the lottery with the parlay.
But if I go to my local convenience store and I buy a Mega Millions ticket, I know what I'm doing, right? So I've said this before. You want to do parlays, just know that you're just buying a lottery ticket. Cool.
So with that being said, Eric, hour of power flies by pretty quick when we have a lot to talk about. We will be back here next week for episode number 30, Tales from the Ticket. And everybody have a wonderful winning day. Thank you for watching us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Be back next week. Any last words from you, Eric?
Yeah, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. When I come across like just so passionate, it's because I'm trying to teach you guys to stop thinking that certain things that give you the edge that don't actually give you the edge. And if you want to delve deeper into that, call me. The number's at the website at PickDawgz.com. We can have
on the description below as well.
Yeah, we can have a consultation. It's not about me saying me right, you wrong, right. No, it's you have to understand the sports books, once they became legal, are making a concerted effort to supply you with tools that give you the false sense of security that you can win. Ask Brad, who's on this, watching this. He gets emails from the sports books every day saying, these are the most bet on games. Like the sports book is trying to
bet the Gronk parlay on FanDuel.
Come on, man. Just like understand this.
And they give you the boosts. And that'll be a conversation for another time. They give you boosts on things that have low edges. But in your mind, psychologically, the boost is a sale. So because psychologically you think the boost is a sale, you're betting it because you feel like you're getting a sale. But in reality, the odds are so low that they're against you. So regardless, the passionate, we're passionate about this stuff. We love doing this. We live it. And if you guys want to subscribe or learn about any of the products that we offer, the number's on the screen, right in the description of the video. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back here next week, 1 p.m.